ABS powered by T-Mobile, and a call that was a strike.
Little sinker up and in.
Has been confirmed. Bill Miller.
That was a bit of baseball history being made last night in San Francisco. The first regular season challenge using Major League Baseball's new ABS system. That's automated ball strike. In every Major League ballpark now, new camera technology will track the precise location of pitches. Teams can challenge up to 2 baller strike calls made by an umpire in a 9-inning game. It's the start of a new era, so on this opening day, let's bring in Dan Evans, a former general manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's also had key roles with 4 other teams, most recently as a scout for the Toronto Blue Jays. So Dan, help us understand this. Give us the ABCs of ABS here. How does this work? Who can make a challenge and when?
First of all, John, just so we need in our life another acronym that we have to look up the first time. For the fans, the key thing is the game is trying to get it right and working on getting it right as well as possible. What this does is twice a game, a batter, catcher, or pitcher can ask within 2 seconds of a pitch for a clarification: is the call overruled or does it stand? There's going to be real alacrity to this. And I think the key to know for the fans is that a manager, a coach, someone in the ballpark can't really influence the batter, the catcher, or the pitcher to ask for the appeal.
It's only those 3. Don't you think some managers are going to figure out a sign to get one of those 3 to make a call?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I think there'll be penalties. What we've already learned, John, is the pitchers and the catchers, actually the catchers and the pitchers are better at this than the hitters are. So there's already a little bit of peeling behind the curtain with a brand new rule.
You know, all this brings up the question, the age-old question of what is the strike zone? I think over the years, a lot of players have said that umpires, it can vary from umpire to umpire. They have personal strike zones. What does the ABS system say is the strike zone?
Well, you're a fan, you know, John, that there were hundreds of different interpretations at the Little League level all the way up. Now they're using a percentile of the player's height for the top and for the bottom of the zone. I have the numbers nearby because they don't just roll off my tongue, but 55.6% of the batter's height and 24.2% of the batter's height are used as the top and the bottom of the zone. So if you crouch, if you get into a exaggerated stance like a Rose or a Ricky Henderson, it could adversely affect you. But in reality, what we have is every player should be consistently called by the ABS system.
Now, this system's been used in spring training for the last 2 years and in the minor leagues since, I think, 2022. What have players been saying about it?
Every player in the big leagues who's played in the minor leagues has played under this situation in their career. So it's not going to be real new, just like the pitch clock. The Atlantic League started it in 2019 as an experiment for Major League Baseball. This has been 7 or 8 years in the works, John. As a result, many of the bugs are out. The players understand it. The fans have been overwhelmingly in favor of it, almost to an 80 percentile rule. I think what they've done from a competition committee down is they've done a good job tweaking it, making changes that identify the problems that they had. I think the fans will benefit, the game will benefit, but I think the biggest thing we'll see a comprehensive plan for people to use this system as a strategic move in the first 8 innings and then in the 9th inning. You mentioned the 2 challenges. I don't think very many people will use their second challenge before a key segment of the late part of the game.
Well, what has experience taught us, or what do we know from it being used in the minors and in spring training? How often are calls overturned, and when do they use? Is it tend to be used?
Around 50% of the calls are overturned. So, you know, what you believe to be a strike is probably a better chance of being a strike if you're the catcher, a lesser chance if you're the pitcher, and a much less chance if you're a hitter. John, what we've learned is the pitchers and catchers are right about 60% of the time. Hitters are right 45% of the time. That's a real big difference in decision making. And I think what you'll see is managers put a throttle on some of the players on their teams and ask their pitchers to not be the point person and try to channel their energy into the catcher, let the catcher make the decision. I think it's going to be a fascinating thing to watch in the first month of the season as people orient towards it. And I think it's going to be seamless. What we have really learned too is it doesn't add to the length of the game simply because they've been doing it long enough. The guys know how to use it, and the umpires and the people in stadium are also very good at it too.
In the long run, do you see a day coming where this is the way they call balls and strikes, that the home plate umpire will no longer call balls and strikes?
No, I sure hope not. And I think all the people that are decision makers in the game hope not too. I think this is a happy medium between the way the game's been umpired since the 1800s to a point now where it could be full ABS. I think this is the compromise, and I think it's a good one. Umpires are such a great fabric of the game. They love the game just as much as you do at home. And I think the important thing for them is we have found out they're right far more than they're wrong. We saw that in replay, and now we're already seeing it in the ABS. I think what we have here is a happy medium that works for everybody involved.
Former baseball executive Dan Evans, thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.